I thought I'd share some thread saving tips that work for me, and uh, it just helps to save money on thread because it's so expensive to reuse it. Um, and this may not, work for everybody, just depending on your time constraints. So I have made like a fabric sample here on one of my sewing machines because I was testing out all the stitches. So I have a whole lot of thread here. What I'd like to do is, maybe while I'm watching TV or something, I just start unstitching it because obviously I want to use this fabric for something else. And so I just, start unstitching it stitch by stitch. And I will actually keep these big long pieces and I'll reuse it later on for basting my sewing projects. So, gosh, these stitches are so tiny. So I just kind of grab it here. And if you kind of pull upwards, it'll kind of create like a little loop and it'll be easier for you to get your seam ripper in there, and just go real slow. And what I do so that I'm not wearing out one piece of thread too much is I'll flip it. So now I'll go to this side and I'll start working on that part. And again, I just kind of pull up. Can you see the little tiny loop that it kind of creates? And you can get your seam ripper under there. See that tiny loop? And I'll just keep doing this until I get to the very end. Again, this is, something that I'll do when I'm watching TV or I just kind of have some downtime because it's very, very time consuming. But I have already taken out one of those samples and you see it leaves me with a really long piece of thread. Okay, so I'll just use that because it has been ran through the fabric a gazillion times. I will use that to just baste with. But another tip that I have got is when you start to sew, you will have, they'll usually, tell you to leave 4 to 6 inches of thread, behind your project when you get your fabric under the presser foot. They'll tell you leave 4 to 6 inches of thread back there. So what I like to do is I like to just leave a little bit more. So instead of throwing away, because when you're done sewing, you're going to clip those threads, and then you have like 4 to 6 inches of thread that's just going into the trash can. So what I like to do is I like to leave, you can kind of see a good amount right there. It's I like to leave like 12 to 18 inches. And then at the end of my project, I cut that off. And I use that as thread for like, you could use it for basting, or I will also use it just for hemming. Like if I'm doing a hand-held hem, or like a hand hem on the bottom of my project, or even to like tack my shoulder seams or something of that nature. So I just thought I would share that. Just because thread is so expensive, so just trying not to be so wasteful with it. But again, it is, a little bit time consuming with unthreading your projects like this one. So, if you have spare time, it just helps to reuse, recycle.